Okay. First of all, good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me to introduce to you the European Space Agency. Spain is a member of this agency since almost the very beginning of the foundation of the organism. So for us or for you, I mean, basically to become or to be member of the European Space Agency is to open a gateway to access to space. Most of the European countries are members currently of the ESA, and what it means for us and for all of the researchers and technicians in these countries is to become immediately in an international environment and to be immersed in this kind of endeavors. Oops. Okay, anyway. For the 2021, the budget was 6.5 billion euros, and this is how it is. Okay. How it is split in the different programs. I'm going to talk today just briefly about Earth observation, space safety, and the scientific program. If you see here, I put Spain, which is contributing at 4% of the total budget, which is 200-something million. This contribution is proportional to the gross national production in the country. The programs, as I said before, there are two programs optional where the member states contribute according to their interest, technological, scientific, or the pushing from the community, and also the mandatory. The mandatory covers the general budget of these activities and the space science. In the optional, for instance, we have I would like to mention telecommunication, microgravity research, which is mainly focused for the future human exploration or colonization of the space on Mars, safe navigation, space station, ISS, and the Earth observation. In the general budget, and the space science program is mandatory, and this covers activities like studies for future projects. We are basically right now defining what is going to be the exploration of the universe and up to 2060 or 70. Technology research, which is needed for these programs or these, let's say, space programs. Technical investment, information system, and training. There is a very important activity at ESA in the 4 establishments they have in Europe for training of science and technicians. Starting with the Earth observation program, I have to go very briefly because, well, I cannot talk to all of them. But what I'm going to tell in this presentation, basically the red square means missions where Spain is involved in scientific exploitation. And in the following slide, you will see that this square becomes blue, meaning that Spain is involved in science and technology. So in the case of Earth exploration, Spain is an optional program, so it means that we are not supporting or not providing funds to ESA for running it. However, ESA is contracting directly to some researchers in Spain, and they are based, to my knowledge, only in Granada in the Institute of Astrophysics. Currently, there is a new mission to the Earth called Earth Explorer, and we are proposing this mission as part of the scientific return of the program. In Granada, in the Institute, we have a long tradition working on theoretical and observational study of the atmosphere. The first mission we were involved is ENVISAT from the very beginning in the 90s. And basically what it's studying is the climate of the Earth, making a correlation between abundance of species, dynamics, and also the interaction of the solar wind, electrons, protons, heavy ions with the atmosphere. And also the one I mentioned before is this CAIRT, is still under definition and competition to be selected in 2023. There are 4 in competition. Again, the range of study is in the middle atmosphere. You might say that this is very high in the atmosphere, but this is really defining what is happening below and is related to the climate challenge we have in the future. This is basically what I said before. So this is when there is this MIPAS instrument is limb viewing the atmosphere. So in every of the views, you get information of all these species, which are connected among them to produce another secondary species, which are really controlling the climate change, the ozone hole, the dynamics, and all the kind of disaster we are suffering currently on the Earth or in the ground or in the atmosphere. So the number of publications here is really impressive. If we consider, If we consider that Spain is not a member of this program, is optional, we are still providing quite a bit of scientific return and by direct contract of ESA to our country. If I go now to the to the scientific program, here is a large piece of contribution, also from Spain, and it's 560 million euros. And here we have, this program is very much demanded in the European community, both for science and technology, so there is a very clear establishment of executive boards for decision-making bodies, and basically what he has is the final entity deciding which mission is going to fly is the Science Program Committee, which is formed by the ministries of the country, the national space agencies, wherever they are. Spain has no space agency, the national research academies or agencies, if there were, and a space science institution. This final decision taken by the SPC, where the Director General of ESA is advised by several boards, the science program, is the Space Science Advisory Committee. This is the most senior committee where I belong to, and is advised at the same time with the Solar System and Exploration Working Group, mostly devoted to the exploration of the solar system bodies, the Astronomy Working Group, and Fundamental Physics. I'm going just to go very briefly on all these programs, comprising several missions, starting in Horizon 2000. It won't expand it, Horizon 2000 Plus. We are finishing right now Cosmic Vision in the 2025, and we are preparing the Voyage 2050 for exploration of the universe up to the 70s of this century. So if I go to the part of the astronomy, let's say, I will go later to the solar system. This is a very nice slide prepared at ESA, where you have here all the missions related to universe observation or astrophysics, where you have the legacy missions, you have the ones which are currently running, and the one which will come in the future. So the blue squares are, as I said before, parts where Spain has technology and science, and these are James Webb Space Telescope, to be launched in October next year, I think. Ariel, launched in 2029, Euclid for the observation of the dark matter and dark energy. These two missions are infrared missions, one of them especially dedicated to exoplanets, and this is more multidisciplinary. Plato, also for detecting solar, terrestrial planets around solar-like stars, is going to be launched in 2026. Here there are, at least to my knowledge, 4 institutions in Spain providing hardware and science. Athena, also another institution providing both science and hardware. LISA is only science, scientific exploitation, as well as Cheops. Integral is a very old mission from 2002, where Spain became a PI of the mission, and is still alive. So it's something like, if we think about this number of 1 cappuccino per year per person in Europe, so this is really much less than a cappuccino, it's a spoon of cappuccino. So, and legacy, well, we all know Planck and Herschel, sub-millimeter observatories, COROT for astrosymology of stars, and LISA Pathfinder, where, again, I only stop in those that Spain has some contribution, scientific or technical. I'm going just to go very briefly about Plato. Plato is a mission for detecting extrasolar planets similar to the Earth around stars like the Sun. The method for detecting those are the transiting, and here, and also, well, and here I show, oops, I'm sorry. It's not only transiting, but also study the astrosysmology of the star. To know the star with high precision is important to discriminate what is a real signal of a planet around the star. And we in Granada, and also some people the IAC is involved in this mission, we are building part of the hardware, and we are mostly, or we will be mostly studying the astrosymology of the star and a little bit less the transiting of the planets. This is just a show, some pictures of the hardware. I want to mention, or I put this in blue, simply because later I will tell you something what is the new exploration of the solar system is going to. So here we are developing hardware which is more than 11 kilos and consuming 48 watts. So later you will see what I mean with this and why this is blue. And in Spain, in Granada, we are producing part of the hardware which is already delivered to the spacecraft site and also to the main or to the PI institution in Germany for integrating in the whole satellite or telescope. For the case of the solar system, I have to, well, I mean, I personally am more familiar with. I have been working on solar system exploration already for 30 years, several of them at the ESA establishment. And again, what I show here is the legacy of this solar system exploration taking place or initiated by ESA. And we have been, since 2000 something, or the beginning of the 2000, working on Venus Express. We provided hardware. Basically, Venus Express is flying or was flying the spare model of Mars Express. And here we did part of the hardware and very many of the scientific exploitation of the atmospheric data. Some of you might remember the big success of the Rosetta mission, went to a comet, and even landing of the comet, and the final of the mission, or the end of the mission, was crashing on the comet in September 2016. And the Cassini-Huygens was basically, well, I can say that it was the big entrance or the initiator of the big or ambitious projects in Spain going to the outer solar system. It was a mission to Saturn with a lander on Huygens, and it's still there. Active, what we are working right now in science and technology is, and I say technology because we have to calibrate the instrument flying right now, is Solar Orbiter. In Hinode is a Japanese mission to observe the sun, and we have all the collaboration, or let's say scientific return, because we were by merits part of this consortium. Bepi Colombo is flying to Mercury, is going to enter into orbit in the next couple of years with a very complex orbit and maneuvers to go there. And Mars Express and ExoMars, we all know that they are studying the surface. Well, the surface will come later in here in this rover, but they are preparing the future for the landing on Mars, knowing about the surface and the survival of any living organism there. Here again, we propose, and we were selected for providing hardware and science. And in the future, in development, we have Envision, also recently selected, and we are part of that from the very beginning. Comet Interceptor, which is a new concept of mission, and then JUICE, which is almost ready for launch in 2022-23. So if I go a little bit more in detail in some of these missions, because I know them very well, this is the Solar Orbiter mission. It was defined at the beginning for flying over the poles of the sun. However, the difficulties or the technical difficulties were such that the selection downgraded the target or the final objective, and is going to fly at 300 degrees, 30 degrees above the equatorial plane. So this is very complex in terms of navigation. ESOC, which is the ESA European Space Operations Center, is really having difficulties, will have difficulties to bring the spacecraft above the equatorial plane, but it's going to be so at 30 degrees north or south. I mean, the orbit is inclined, and it will be able to observe the poles of the sun, something that was never done before. In Spain, one of the main instruments that were developed is SOFI. It's a complex instrument. It maybe is the first or one of the few ones doing polarimetry in space. And it's a very sensitive polarimeter. As I said, the signal-to-noise ratio is 1,000 in the 4 or in the 3 Stokes parameter. It is a quasi-monochromatic spectrometer. The full width half maximum is 92 picometers. So basically, we can detect atomic lines. And as he said here, so there is a processor inside. It's a FPGA, which is able to analyze the data to decide which one are really valuable for the community, to prepare them and to send them to the Earth. This reduces a lot the demand on the ground station antennas. So this is basically what I said before. So this is the shape, or I mean how the instrument looks like, and this is, we have an imaging mode, polarimetry, spectroscopy I mentioned before, and the data processing. This is the large, or let's say the most innovative aspect of the instrument. Another mission that is also ready to be launched in the next year is JUICE mission. This mission is going to Jupiter. It's going to study the planet, the atmosphere of the planet, and the satellites. with a special emphasis on Europa and Ganymede. These two satellites are thought to, or are believed to be able to host life, not on the surface, but on the subsurface. And then we want to do with the 20-something instrument flying on the spacecraft is certainly to know more about the planet and the planet. So this is how in Granada we were involved in two instruments: a laser altimeter to know the shape of the planet, the planet is gaseous, the satellites, because knowing the shape and the altitude and the topography, we are able to know the interior, and from there to deduce if there is in fact a layer of salty water in the undersurface able to cope with life or to generate life or to maintain life in some way. And the other one is a camera. This is Janus. This is a mid-resolution camera, and you will see that this is only the optical head unit, and this is the electronics, and they are separated. And they are separated simply because the radiation environment in Jupiter is so high that all the electronics of all the instruments are put apart in a sarcophagus far from the outside of the spacecraft, where the instrument will be placed to see the outer space. In Granada, we did for the first time the design, for the first time in our institute, not in Spain, the design of a filter wheel, and maybe the most outstanding aspects of this filter wheel is the size. It's no more than like little dish of a coffee set, and also the movement of the wheel is very quick. It goes from one filter to the opposite in less than 2 seconds, and the position of the filter in front of the CCD is in accuracy of several micrometers. It's less than 1 pixel. So we are going to avoid quite a bit of geometrical distortion while taking the images. This is how the spacecraft looks like right now. It's going to be, it's under integration, and the different instruments will be placed in these plates, and the electronics will be inside in a sarcophagus, protecting the electronics from this environment in Jupiter. Another sign or indicative of the good health of Spain in Spanish space industry is this video, where you can see, if it works, yes. This is a boom designed and developed in Spain and in Spanish industry. This is 10 meters long, and the boom will have at the end one of the instruments to measure the magnetic field of the Galilean satellites. This is important. Why so far? Because they want, or this instrument doesn't want to be disturbed by all the electronics inside the US spacecraft. So that's the reason it's put so far away to measure this magnetic field induced by the salty oceans around Ganymede, or below Ganymede, the surface of Ganymede. The other mission I want to say, or to talk briefly, is this Comet Interceptor. It's a new class of missions developed or initiated at the European Space Agency to take advantage of a launch in a big launcher, which is Ariane 6. But there is some space on the top still free. So because ESA has to pay the launcher, no matter what you put there, a small or a big spacecraft, then for the launch of Ariel, you will use Ariane 6. There is empty space, which is already paid by ESA, and then they made a call for a new mission, which is what they call FAST mission, and the name is really challenging because we have to develop all the hardware in less than 5 years. And this is what we are doing right now. The concept of the mission is it will be launched with Ariel. It's a telescope, so it has to be parked at L2, Lagrange 2 point, and the mission will be there frozen somehow, waiting for a new comet coming from the Oort cloud, which is the region or the reservoir of remnants of the solar system formation, or even an interstellar object like the ones which are coming now. So the idea is the launch is together with Ariel, parked there for 3 years maximum. When some attractive or scientifically interesting body appears, initiate all the maneuvers to encounter the planet, the comet. And this is the idea, it's 3 spacecraft. This is the spacecraft A, and there will be 2 more. This is ESA responsibility JAXA, and ESA. The measurements will be multi-point, multi-instrument, multi-wavelength. These two spacecraft will die, basically. They are kind of kamikazes, but before doing so, they will send the data to A, and then A will send the data to the Earth, or to ground. This is the contribution. It's a small mission. It's what we are entering into what we say mini-satellite exploration of the solar system. And here I can tell you a number that you can compare with the ones I said before. Remember I said instrumentation or electronics of 11 kilos, 48 watts of consumption. Here we are talking about few hundred grams. So we are decreasing in a factor of 5 or 6 the technology for space, which we have certainly transferred to the community or to the society. And these are the instruments, again, that we are working on in Spain. The cost of this mission is relatively low compared to the previous ones I mentioned. It's only 150 million euros, and the duration is 5 years. So what I perceive from ESA and from many agencies is that the solar system exploration is going to a mini-satellite era or CubeSat era, where most of the universities and also institutions can send a spacecraft to look for different, to address very concise questions related to Mars or Venus or minor bodies. But the big challenges are more rare in the next future in terms of technical development. And the other mission that we also are working in Spain is working hardly is Envision. It's a mission going to Venus. Venus, as you know, in the last few months, it opened a new question about survival of life forms in the cloud layer. Currently, there are 2 missions prepared by NASA to study Venus, and Europe is going to prepare a third one with a different focus on the surface volcanism and how these processes might affect the atmosphere and this concept of habitability. So the mission or the instrument in there are very few. It's a spectrometer with 3 channels, again, going to reduce the mass and the technological development and the time frame. For that, these are radars for the subsurface to study if volcanism is possible and how it is produced. Radio science, that is something that we have for free with the high-gain antenna of the spacecraft. And this is a synthetic aperture radar also to study the surface in a very high resolution. So this is what we have right now regarding the solar system exploration, regarding the universe observation you saw before. And then if we go to the future, there was a call by ESA to the community to define scientific themes for future exploration. We received something like 200 proposals. Of those 200 proposals, we reduced not the proposal by the scientific topic into 3, and these are the ones, the moons of the giant planets, temperate planets, and what we call new physical probes of the early universe. What will happen in the next few months, it will be, again, another call to the community to define missions, not concept, but missions to one of these moons of the giant planets to work or to study the temperate exoplanets or the early universe. And this is going to happen in I think it's the next year, and this will define the ESA activities in the science program until 2070 or 80. Thank you.